Welcome, everybody. So we're going to kick off. I'm really curious to know if anybody actually worked on their value proposition. I asked you yesterday to think about it and maybe refine your value proposition in order to target high value clients. Has anybody worked on that or not? Nobody worked on it, or nobody wants to share? Again, I mean, if you're shy, no problem, but use the chat and you can share with me all your ideas. In the meantime, I will definitely have Rohit's help to share our value proposition, so you can kind of use that as an example. So I hope your takeaways from a value proposition yesterday were fruitful. Again, if you want to take the opportunity to have a call with me, a 30-minute free call on any opportunity you're looking forward to discovering in your business or also in life, please feel free to reach out to me. The link is always in my email, so you can use a link and book a date so we can have a chat. That would be my pleasure. This is my clock. She is still slow. Now, today, this is our last day, and I'm going to make the most out of it with you, because today I want to talk to you about the major two ingredients for your magic potion. Remember, I always believe that you have to leave room for magic. And the two magic potions I want to share with you, which are going to accelerate your success and which are going to accelerate the fact that you're going to transform opportunities into five-figure magic, are two things which are very dear and clear to me, and which we all have to keep in mind and keep practicing daily. Once we do that, you will see magic happening, truly magic happening, because it does indeed transform opportunities into five-figure magic. So let me kick off with what those two things are, right? I'm sure you're pretty curious. So the two things are your mindset, right? That's training your mind. And the second magic potion is courage. And I want to cover both of them because these are essentials if you want to make things happen, if you want to basically really make opportunities last and make a lasting change in your life. So I would like to kick off with telling you about how to change your state. And I hope you all understand what a state is. Basically, it's your mental and emotional state you're in. So do you feel sad? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel happy? Do you feel frightened? That's all different states. And those states do actually directly impact your ability to perform, especially under pressure, and especially when you have high stakes, for example, in a situation of negotiations. So by actually learning how to shift these states, you have a few options, and these options I want to introduce to you. I'm sure you heard something like similar to that before. I hope so, at least. And if not, this is going to be one of the most valuable inputs you will probably have had in those 3 days, even though I believe that a lot of those inputs were valuable. So let me go into this a bit. So if your state is responsible how you show up, and it is responsible how you show up, right? We all know the feeling when we get out of bed and we actually didn't want to start the day. This day is going to start slow, and this day you need a lot of internal work to really make this day. So I would love for you to really understand and really feel how your state, and observe yourselves, right? How your state changes the outcome of a day. And this is why the ability to manage your emotional and mental state throughout any process in life is one of the key factors to success. It's one of the key factors to make very clear-headed decisions and to stay focused. So it also is one of the items which is actually going to be the conduit for resilience, right? I was talking about resilience a lot in the first day, and I keep mentioning this because once you have a clear head, once you're managing your state, you're able to show up and you're able to master all the tools of resilience, so you can maintain clarity and focus and calm, even in a challenging situation. Typically, negotiations are those situations. They're challenging. They can be very challenging depending on who is across from you and what is at stake for you, right? And what intention you have set. So actually, what are the drivers for the state? How can you change your state? Let's say you're really not feeling very great, and you got up with the wrong leg, as we would say. So what are the 3 big items that actually can change your state in a heartbeat? And that really changes your state in a heartbeat. So the first thing that can change your state in a heartbeat is the physiology. So now, what is physiology? Anything you can do with your body. So I have some clients, especially females, are great at that. So and I used to do it with my child. I have my child when he was young, he started being in a bad mood in the morning. So what I did with him to change his state, because I couldn't bear the thought of having a child who I would raise and he would always be in a bad mood in the morning, which I'm not, thanks God. So we started moving around, right? So when he was really small, now he wouldn't do it anymore. He's 14 now, so you can imagine. But when he was little, we were dancing around the living room. And what did that do? Actually, the whole nervous system got into speed, and obviously the music changed our state right away. So physiology, moving your body, is something that will change your state in a heartbeat. You could do deep breathing, right? In, hold, and slowly out. That is super, super effective too. Everybody knows power poses. Now, some of you might feel a bit funny if they start standing like this, or if they start standing like this. You know all of those. It's not about how you look. It's about how you feel, right? You have to, the feeling is going through your body, and with that, you can change your state right away. It's actually the easiest of those 3 items I'm going to introduce to you in terms of managing your state to change your state. So power poses, deep breathing. Now, also when you are in a negotiation, so you will have somebody across from you, eye contact and gestures are really, really important. And it's really funny, you know, it's gestures are something very, I think, very unique to nations. I'm sure a lot of you have very typical gestures, right? Like we have a lot of Indian people in this call. We have Americans. We have international people, right? Italians typically are very, very expressive with their gestures, especially with their arms. So it's very interesting, and that kind of makes the energy move through you. And that's really, really helpful as well in terms of how to change your physiology. So eye contact can be something really impactful as well, especially in negotiations, right? So, I mean, anybody has probably heard about the staring contest you can do. Now, I don't recommend that to people who are in a negotiation, which should end peacefully, but it's actually something super important, as this can shift the energy in the room, and it can the power frame in the room. Now, I'm going to talk about that a bit more because negotiation is one of my favorite subjects, but eye contact is one of those things in the physiology, which is really, really a good way to change things in the room. Now, in a negotiation situation, what's also very impactful, if you feel stuck in a discussion at home, what you simply do, you move your body, meaning you change your seat. Now, be very aware, if you sit across from somebody, it's always it's more of a confrontational thing. So if you discuss, it's better to sit around a corner, kind of that you'll have to turn your head a bit. It makes a very big difference in terms of the energy flowing between the two people. When you are in a negotiation, in a big meeting room, and I have done that very successfully in the past, I just get up, right? I get up, and if I feel that things are really stalling and I'm kind of in charge of a negotiation there, I would ask the people to move around in the room and just find another seat or stand up. You will see that with changing your standpoint, so changing the point where you stand will change your standpoint. That's what I meant to say. So changing the point where you stand will change your standpoint. And it typically declutters the situation you feel stuck in. So the other thing is, of course, breathing is super important. If it's really about you changing your state, you know how we hold our breath when we get stressed? I actually had a situation like this today, believe it or not, and I had to do breath work around it. It's something minor, but I got stuck with something. I did an update on my computer, and all my Microsoft programs kind of started acting up, or they wouldn't open anymore. So I had to do some breath work today. So that's one of the key drivers which can change your state like this, and which can really help you through critical situations as well. Now, the second driver, which can actually help you to change your state, is language. So I call it language mastery. I mentioned it, I think, on my video for the first day, and you will listen to that again. I think language mastery is, I had to have a mentor tell me that I have to mind my language, because language is like a spell. So it's really important that you're using, generally, that you're using empowering, positive language, especially when you talk to yourself. And I know we all do, even though we wouldn't admit it, but we all talk to ourselves. So use positive self-talk. And especially ahead of big happenings, events, make very sure that you're using positive self-talk to eliminate doubt and reinforce your value. So reinforce your value, like, I'm worth this deal, or I have the expertise I need, or eliminate, right? I recommend. Use I'm confident, right? Don't avoid everything like I think, it might be, it may be, it should. There's this nice saying, they should all over themselves. So it's not about should. If you're very assertive, you will see that the state, you are going to be in a better state, and you're going to be much better received as a bigger authority. So language mastery and language shapes your reality, right? So you can always use words like we, you can use partnership. So you can also use language to frame objections as opportunities. Like, instead of saying, yeah, I understand it's expensive, you can kind of go, okay, let's explore how this investment will actually generate long-term value for you. And there you have it, right? So basically, you're in a situation where you can really, really support people with your language, and the language not only supports the other side, it also supports yourself. So that's another big example for state management. So to reiterate, we have physiology, we have language, and maybe if you remember this little sentence my mentor shared with me, like, words are your spell, remember that. I think if you can remember that and take this as a takeaway, that's going to be very valuable to you in the future. The third thing is focus. So focus, right? So what we focus on, so where focus goes, energy flows. Now, as people, we are typically focused on worry, doubt, and fear. So these things come much easier to us than focusing on, there's an opportunity. Where is the window of opportunity here? Where is a possible chance? Where can I find the outcome I want? So stay goal-oriented, focus on the goal, keep your eyes on the prize, focus on the opportunity. Do not focus on any pitfalls, right? Do not focus on the fears. It's easier said than done. But again, if you can combine all three, you will see it's going to do magic for you. So first, you're going to use your physiology. You're going to use your language. And as a third part, you're going to be very aware what you're going to focus on. And you're going to, you could go into a short visualization where you kind of visualize, a successful outcome of the negotiation you have ahead of you, or where you kind of enforce the intention you had set for this negotiation. So more focus on feeling and achieving whatever you intend to achieve, and be flexible how it's going to happen, right? But focus on that and focus on the positive, and catch yourself if this doubt creeps in, right? If you have an option between doubt and positive self-talk and focus on a good outcome, I hope it's clear what you're going to choose. So By mastering your state, you will project confidence, make better decisions, and convey more value effectively, which is actually crucial, especially for closing high-value deals, right? So mastering your state, if you don't take anything of today's day with you, it's that part. So master your state, because that's one of the triggers which is going to lead from an opportunity to five-figure magic very quickly. Now, if it would be that easy, right? So we all have our stories, right? And why I like to kind of talk about the stories we have is we tell ourselves those stories, and we keep telling ourselves those stories. Now, the thing is, something is happening to all of us every day, right? And the thing to watch out for, guys, is that we are the ones assigning the meaning to anything that's happening in our lives, right? So there's this nice saying that we shouldn't focus, shouldn't look at it like this. We should focus on it's not happening to us, it's happening for us. Not so easy to do. And typically it happens in hindsight. I'm sure I mentioned that, I think, on the first day as well. So typically after something happened and you thought it was actually awful, you will realize after a while that it was actually a blessing in disguise, right? But in the moment you're in there, you're putting meaning to whatever is happening. But here's the thing. The meaning we give things is what shapes our emotion. Let me repeat that. The meaning we give in our head to things is shaping our emotions, right? So let's say a business deal you are, so, okay, let me put it this way. I'm going to make an example from my life. Let's go, so basically I thought I wanted to take over a business, and I thought this was actually a cool business, loved the profits, loved the subject, loved the product, loved everything. I was actually pretty far in the negotiation, and you will not believe it. In the very last moment, this deal fell through. I mean, I was devastated, to be honest. I had part of my team with me in the negotiations. We had prepared everything. Like you like to put it out, you know, here we go again. I mean, I had a very clear intention, yes, but I also had an expectation. And the expectation was I would grow this business and make it really big. And actually what happened, it fell through. It fell through. And that's when this happened, right? Oh my God, poor me, it happened to me. Now I had all this crap going on, right? Because I kind of had prepared and things were in flux and it was awful. But believe it or not, it took me exactly 2 months to realize that that was the best thing that could have happened to me, because the business actually was not aligned with what I'm actually all about, right? And if I had done that business, I would never be here and have this webinar with you, because I have learned so much through that experience. So the meaning we give things is going to shape the emotions we have around that. So the meaning I gave to that situation, that moment, was it's awful. And obviously, if you have an awful meaning to something, you will have an awful emotion. And you know what that does? It puts energy in motion. So an emotion is energy in motion. And that means this energy comes into motion and it gets like a life on its own, right? It's because this energy is then driving our action and creates the results we see in our lives. And if you kind of think about that, you will see that this has happened to all of us in one way or another. Here we go, right? What state have you been in? What meaning did you give that situation? Was it a positive meaning? Could you actually use, let's use a positive example. You were super excited. Something is working out really well. You think this is just fabulous, right? So you connect an emotion, you give this thing a meaning that it's fabulous, and it is fabulous. So the emotion is super positive, and it pushes you through the whole process, basically, of making things happen and things fall into place like a miracle, right? Why? Because your emotions were positive, and these positive emotions put energy in motion, which helped you to drive your actions and created a result better than what you have ever imagined, right? So actually that's a driving emotion. So energy in motion is an emotion. And be very aware, if you have negative energy in motion, it will creep up on you because your actions are going to be aligned with that energy, because it's energy that drives all of us, right? So start with the meaning. What does this really mean to me? How do we actually get in? What do we get? What positive part do we get out of this? How do we drive this energy into something which creates a positive outcome? So make it a positive emotion in one way or another, right? So, and connected to that, it's the stories we tell ourselves, right? I just said that. So the story then I told myself was, oh, it was awful, and actually it was a super missed opportunity, and I was disappointed, and the other side was disappointed. So we were all disappointed, and the lawyers, and so it was really messy, to be honest. And then this dictates our actions. So if you then start, and then the spiral could start, right? If you don't stop believing in yourself, you think, oh, something good is never gonna come to me again. I'm not capable. I can't close high value deals. This belief will manifest eventually in your performance. So it's called, and this is a word a lot of people use, a lot of people, in my opinion, misuse, but that is a typical limiting belief. But this limiting belief came through a spiral you kind of created yourself. Now, there's a lot of limiting beliefs we take over from our parents, right? So that's something to be aware of, and they keep creeping up on us as well. So if mom and dad always tell you that money is very hard to earn, and you have to break your head to kind of make it, and the competition is huge, and there's so much competition, and actually it's so difficult to stand out. These are limiting beliefs which often are transferred from our parents to us. So any type of limiting belief, it is very, very important that you kind of identify those before you go into a big situation where you could be completely limited by it, right? So typically, if you have to detect the limiting beliefs which are relevant for the situation you're going to go into, right? So the stories will influence how you will present yourself in those negotiations, but it's the stories. There's this nice saying which says, change your story, change your life, right? And that's true. That ties back into, if we tell ourselves the story, poor me, if we put ourselves in the victim situation, we are typically going to stay in the victim role. If we start feeling empowered, if we are recognizing those limiting beliefs, and we kind of change our stories, and we act with a different emotion, we put a different energy in motion, and we are going to have an outcome, which is typically going to be a result of a positive energy, which is kept flowing through us. So that is super important to realize. So identify those limiting beliefs. You can, once you identify them, you can rewrite them. It's, you can do affirmations. There is actually a method which is called Existential Kink. It's a book. You can Google it. It's called Existential Kink. And actually, it's based on the Carl Jung's theories, which is really, really cool. There is an exercise in there which kind of shows you that anything that shows up in your life, also negative, is something we have in our subconscious, which needs to be simply integrated. So instead of pushing it away, integrate it. So there's lots of things you can do. There's also breath work you can do. Then there's something else, which is, there's a book called No Bad Parts, which talks about that all of us have those different parts, and all it needs to actually integrate it into one. So there's lots of things you can do around that to really make sure that those limiting beliefs don't hold you back, right? So that's rather right brain kind of exercises, but it's something which is super important, because this right brain exercises typically train you to listen to your subconscious, and they also enter the subconscious much better. Now, for everybody who also loves the left brain part, is You can build confidence through evidence, as I call it. And a lot of my mentees go through that process, which is basically super simple, actually. Is like, put on a piece of paper what your skills and your past successes are. We do forget that sometimes, or a lot of times. So put it down, and before you go into any negative spiral or into anything around doubt, if you could make it, just put down what you have actually achieved in your life so far, and you will find something. So don't come up with another story saying, oh, I've never done anything good, right? Don't let the bad stuff, which might have happened for you, overshadow anything good that you did in your life. So put down your skills and the stuff you really like and the stuff you're really good at, and look at that list. That's really helping to first go into your mental brain, and then it can kind of settle and go also rise into your subconscious, which is super important. Anybody here who meditates will know that exercises like this in a conscious state, if you then meditate, it's able to kind of infiltrate into your subconscious as well, which is beautiful. So I want to take a quick break here in the sense of, I want to know from you, are there any questions? Is there something that comes up which is where you say, oh, I'm doubting that and I don't think that's real, or Peggy, hey, is there anything you want to challenge at this point, or is there anything you don't understand? Let me know. And if you don't want to show up, just let me know in the chat. Okay, I'll observe the chat as well. Now, let me move into the other part, which is courage, right? I was talking about the mindset as one of the magic potions, an ingredient of the magic potion, and the other ingredient of the magic potion is courage. Now, I want to state that again and again, and you have all heard it, but I'm going to say it again. Courage is not the absence of fear. Now, let this sink in, right? Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage means it's the strength to take action despite of the fear, right? So courage is not the absence of the fear. It's the fact and the strength that you take action despite the fear. So that is really important. And why is courage so essential? Because if you are living in a world where you think you're only safe if you stay hidden, or if you don't want to stand out, we talked about that yesterday, then you're not going to be seen, and you're not going to get to the next level. So only the people who have the courage to move through discomfort, and it is nothing else. It's discomfort typically. So you're moving through discomfort. Once you move through that discomfort, you are going to realize that you just grew, right? So I mentioned that I think I was highly uncomfortable doing webinars like this, right? It's still not, I don't still think it's my strength, frankly. But what did I do? I just went, okay, I just have to do it, right? So I went out of my comfort zone into, okay, just let's do this. And here I am, right? Happy to have your honest feedback after the session if you enjoyed it or not. So that's always helping me to get better. But the fact is, I had to have some courage to do that, right? I had to have some courage to teach what I believe in. And I am teaching things which I know will work for any one of you. And I do that with a lot of pleasure, because I'm convinced that all of what we're sharing here can be useful not only to you, but also to the people around you. So I hope we will have this ripple effect through you using some of those tools. So courage empowers you to push beyond your comfort zone, okay? And then you will reap the bigger rewards. That's about it, right? This is this stupid saying, but it's kind of true. I mean, the bigger risk you take, the bigger payout you will have. Now, risk is very different to courage, right? What is the risk? Like, think about why you are afraid. That's an interesting one as well. So courage, we are shy. We might be shy. Like, you guys are all shy because you're all off camera, right? It's quite amazing. But courage allows you to take that risk and reap the greater rewards, right? So you can ask for what you're truly worth, or you can negotiate terms that align with your value. And you need courage for that. Otherwise, you're going to sell yourself under value. And that actually applies for business opportunities, that applies for an employment, that applies anywhere. So courage is also the part which actually helps you detach emotionally from the rejection, as you have to see it as part of the process, right? So rejection is always part of the process. So if you're courageous, you know that something is going to reject you. But you don't need to fear it, right? You need to view rejection as an opportunity to refine your approach over and over again. This will make you move closer to success. So your courage actually is that vehicle that helps you detach emotionally from the rejection. So here we go. I mean, we were talking about resilience a lot. So that's part of that, right? So courage will help you detach from the rejection, and you will see it as part of the process. And you know what? The more you do it, the more it becomes a natural thing to do. And it is so amazing how we all forget, right? How we started to learn walking, right? You know how much courage that needed to suddenly stand up on those two legs before we were on mother's arms? We don't remember. This is probably why we lost this kind of talent. But I tell you something, the most courageous people are the ones who are growing the most, and they will eventually reap whatever they are sowing, right? And so typically, I have not seen anyone who has implemented massive changes in the world who has not shown courage. And it starts with the courage of standing out and not fitting in. We talked about that yesterday. So it could be that also around bold decision making, right? So sometimes you have to walk away from a deal. When you get into a negotiation situation and you think, ooh, you know, this deal they want from the other side is not aligned at all with my values, you might want to take the way out. So basically take a bold decision and just walk away. That's courageous. So, and that's boldness you will always need, especially in high value negotiations, right? This will protect your long-term success. And all of these things are going to build your muscle. I call it the courage muscle, and will help you in the context of resilience, right? Resilience is then the ability to bounce back from those setbacks and keep pushing forward. So just you have to understand that if you're fighting for 5-figure magic, the process might be long, and often there are lots of obstacles. But with courage, which is going to support your resilience, you ensure that you stay on track, even if the things don't go according to plan. So the other point here is you are going to build mental toughness. So mental toughness is something which actually keeps you focused on your long-term goals rather than being discouraged by those short-term failures or delays. There's a lot of, here we go, this is the expectation part, right? So I have a lot of clients who say, okay, oh God, Peggy, how long is that going to take? So I always say, be flexible, because we can say it takes 2 months. Sometimes it will take 4 weeks, right? Could go shorter. But sometimes, you know, whoever wants to build a business can take 5 months. So it's not about timing. So don't get discouraged about the time. Just stay focused on what you want to create. And this mental toughness comes through the courage you had to do it and keep doing it. And that's building the resilience you need to have to actually make this happen. The other driver of this is, and that's a big part of resilience and courage, and it's quite a funny one, is actually consistent action. There are multiple ways to react to setbacks, right? I have seen people going, they freeze. They're going to go, oh my God, no, I have to stop. I can't, right? Oh my God, I can't. And then you have people who are going to go, and I'm going to do this again. eventually also those who said, I'm going to do this again, are coming to the point where they go, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I have invested so much time, so much money, so much whatever. I am going to stop. And there's a book, actually, I don't know what it's called, but basically the book describes, I'm going to keep it short, it's this digger in a gold mine, right? Real story. So he digs and he digs. And it was years. I mean, he was digging for gold for years. Eventually, he goes, this does not make sense. There's no gold here, even though whoever told him or whatever studies he made, there was supposed to be gold. There's no gold. There's no gold. He gives up, right? He basically puts the shovel in the corner and says, I'm done. 4 weeks later, somebody else comes up there. He digs for another 2 weeks. He finds gold. So just be aware, consistent action. Keep doing it, and always try a different route. I have to tell you that I am going through a lot of experiences like this. I have to take consistent action. Sometimes I'm going, oh, I don't have the patience. I don't want to do this. I keep doing it. This is exactly the point. So that means that's what resilience and courage is doing for you. You keep doing it until you see a result. So don't give up when things get tough. That's kind of the message here. And then my favorite one is leave some room for magic, for crying out loud. So don't try to plan everything, okay? Life is so dynamic, and everyone who has been in this life for a while will know suddenly something happens and is going to throw you off your course. It doesn't need to be negative. So please just set the intention and aim for the best outcome for all parties involved. That's all you need to do. Set the intention, aim for the best outcome for all parties involved, take the according action, and leave that room for magic. Because, while logic and strategy are important in negotiations, breakthroughs often come from creativity and intuition. Has nothing to do with the strategy, has nothing to do with, oh, I have to do this now and I have to do this perfectly, right? Leave that room for magic. Be open to new and unexpected possibilities and trust your instincts. For some people, that's really difficult because they have been so trained with their left brain that they're trying to analyze everything. So paralysis through analysis, I call it. Leave that room for magic, because then you will see. Then you will see it. Because if you don't leave that room, you're closed. You will not even see an opportunity spitting in your face. So be open to that and trust your intuition, right? One part of that I'm going to go into, it's a good trick where you can basically also pull in some magic from other people across from you. But what I want to encourage you, really listen to your gut. It's really, really important. And in English, we have this great word, which is serendipity. And serendipity is exactly that, right? Serendipity happens when like the stars align, right? So everything suddenly falls into place. You don't know how, like suddenly something happens and you go, oh dear, right? I have definitely not expected that. But some people don't even see it. So stay open and embrace the unpredictable, right? Remain agile and open to any shift, right? And you can kind of adjust and use this new situation to your best interest and to your client's best interest. So I think this is something that is truly close to my heart, right? So if you think about what we said on the first day, it was expectations versus intentions. An expectation is typically that what is exactly closing, actually slamming this door closed. A person who's full of expectations of an outcome does not see the magic. They don't leave the room for magic, and serendipity could again spit them in the face and they would completely drive over it because they're not there, right? So be present. It's really, really important in that context. It also ensures that you stay resourceful, and that's important because, again, very beautiful things can happen unexpectedly, but here we are, also bad things happen unexpectedly. So if you're open and leave some room for magic, your creativity and your resourcefulness will flow freely. right? You're not going to be stuck in this situation and going, oh my God, it's an unsolvable problem. Instead, your head will go, what's the action I have to take? And I have to take it now, right? A lot of people go into the freezing zone where they kind of freeze up and go, I didn't really know what to do about this. So I'm kind of, drawing back. That's definitely the worst thing you can do. So leave that room for magic. Resourcefulness will come to you when a problem hits you, especially if you start using what we just spoke about at the beginning of this session, right? You manage your state, you get into a space where you can think clearly, you do your breath work, you change your physiology, you change your focus, and you change your language. And instead of saying, oh my God, this shitty problem, excuse my French, just threw me off course, you're going to go, okay, what does that mean? And how can I actually optimize this situation for the objective I have? I hope that makes sense to all of you. Now, if you're loving this whole thing, let me know. I would love to hear if you like that, if that's useful to you, all of you. That's important to me because otherwise I talk to myself for an hour, and that's actually not the idea. I want to talk to you for an hour and kind of have you embrace you with your needs, and hopefully you can walk out of this workshop and basically say, this is cool and there's some good stuff in here which I can use. Now, and one other thing, and I mentioned it before, in a negotiation especially, practice some active listening. And active listening you can practice already at home, right? You can practice it with your partner, you can practice it with your parents, you can practice it with your child, you can practice it also with your dog, by the way. The dog doesn't talk, but you can listen for sure. So this is an overlooked skill in negotiation. The other side is typically going to, if you let them talk, so not like me today where I talk all the time, all over you, but if you let them talk, they are going to kind of uncover a lot of their concerns, a lot of their needs, a lot of their wants. If you actively listen, this is, I think, one of those things, one of those items where you can transform opportunity into 5-figure magic easily. Why? Because you can meet them on their way. It only works if you listen to them. And here again, guys, this is not around. If you have an expectation, you will not actively listen because you're going to listen to your self-talk. I have to make this work. I have to make this work. I have to make this money. I have to make this deal. I have to close this. Blah, blah, blah. So set the intention that you're going to meet them where they need you. Okay, that's an intention. Listen actively and be super present, because active listening requires your full attention. And that's not only verbal, that's also nonverbal. So look at eye contact, look at their, their whole posture, look at all of these things and try and get them out of their nutshell if they're in a nutshell. Now, the other thing, and you've heard about that, I'm sure, is you could clarify things again, right? So basically you could say, okay, what I hear you saying is, it sounds like you're concerned about this. This is like paraphrasing and clarifying, their mirroring back to them that you have listened to them. And then you can use those paraphrases to kind of connect that with anything you want to offer to them. So it's really important to understand that this paraphrasing part, this active listening, and this mirroring back to your counterpart what you understood, and connecting that with whatever value you're intended to give, is actually something that gives you a big win. And watch out. Reading between the lines is a very important part of that too. It's basically not only about what's being said, it's also what's not being said, right? So pick up on the non-verbal cues like tone of voice, body language. And the trick here is not to get irritated. For anybody who is interested, there is a fabulous book, and that will prepare you amazingly for any negotiation. It's called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. It's not a new book. It's an investment banker who really takes, he will show you that there's a power frame, there's a pricing frame, and he kind of walks you through what it means to respond to nonverbal cues and how to break those frames up, right? Because if you're in the situation that you're asking somebody for something, you always feel inferior. That's just the human, right? So you're going to communicate from another perspective than if you would communicate eye to eye. And Oren goes into that with great detail, and I think it's super helpful. It has helped me a ton, and it's since then helping a lot of my clients in difficult situations. So the book, again, is called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. Now, once you have heard the other party's concern or need, your response is, of course, more thoughtful and relevant, right? So you can basically address the concerns directly, and that's really key for the other person to see that you're actually understanding where he's coming from. And you can also uncover true pain points and the motivations of the client. And that allows you to adjust your strategy and to meet them where it's effective, right? Otherwise, you talk over them. It's not about talking over them. It's about understanding their pain points and the motivations, and then go ahead and say, let me see if I can adapt again, right? Adaptability, agility. Let's see if I can adjust my strategy to meet the needs he just articulated towards me. Okay. Now, I am going to conclude with 3 takeaways. So, courage and mental discipline are foundations for handling high-stake negotiations, right? Change your state and change your story. This will build confidence and mental clarity. Managing your state will help you stay resilient and focused, also under pressure. So watch that. I'll repeat that. How do you manage your state? Physiology, language, and focus. And remember, emotion is energy in motion, and emotion is a result of the meaning we give to things. And we want that meaning to be a positive one, so the energy that drives us will be a positive one, which will lead to positive results. Active listening allows you to uncover deeper client needs and craft tailored solutions. And finally, always leave room for magic so the serendipity can show up. Leave room for magic through creativity and your intuition, and it will open doors for you to unexpected opportunities and solutions that can close any deal, right? So I want to wrap up by basically telling you 2 things. It would be my absolute pleasure to support you personally in a very dedicated way. I work with my clients one-to-one. I also work with companies. I work with teams. I work over video. I work in person. So whatever is needed. I love to connect with people. I am a great believer in people, and I know that everybody has a very special talent. It's just about how you kind of put them together, how you create a concert out of those talents. And I want to just wrap up those 3 days by telling you what we have covered, because we have actually covered quite a bit. We have explored essential strategies for converting opportunities into 5-figure magic, right? And we started with day 1, where we focused on the importance of internal clarity, resilience, and setting intentions. We learned that true business growth begins with in. So as the inside, so the outside. Aligning opportunities with your values and maintaining resilience in the face of challenges is key. And approaching anything with intention rather than rigid expectations, right? In order that it serves you, always choose the intention. And catch yourself when you're in your expectations, and catch yourself how much disappointment you have to experience. So practice that. It's a really good practice. I still do it daily myself. Day 2 taught us how to craft a compelling value proposition. And I hope you have really done that for yourselves. That's something which needs to be done in order to resonate with any of your clients, but especially with high-value clients, right? We also explored the importance of differentiation and emotional connection and customer centricity, right? So don't forget, put your customer first, not your product, not your service, put your customer first to ensure that your propositions actually stand out and speak directly to the needs of those customers and to your audience, right? Nobody's going to listen to you if you don't hit their needs or if you don't hit their aspirations. Focus more on positive, so enforcing positive news rather than only positioning yourself as the problem solver. And finally, day 3 today, we focused on courage, which you all have because you all showed up. Thank you so much for that. And mental discipline, teaching us to manage our state, to rewrite those limiting beliefs, and practice active listening. And last but not least, leave room for magic to close those high-stake deals with confidence and agility. So together, all of these strategies provide a powerful foundation for achieving significant business growth and for transforming opportunities into 5-figure magic. Now, I would like to leave the floor to you guys. It's my absolute pleasure to see if you have any opportunities in your world that we can convert into 5 figures very soon. Happy to connect with you on a direct call. You can have a direct call with me for free for 30 minutes, and I'm happy to get that arranged. I want to thank my dear, dear, dear assistant and really, really loyal companion here in this journey, Rohit. He has been an absolute star, and I'm so, so grateful that we actually are on that journey together. So I would like you to have the opportunity. Thank you very much. I would like to use the opportunity, if you have any questions and you don't want to show, put them in the chat because we still have 4 minutes left. If there's anything I can answer for you at this point, I'm happy to do that. Okay, guys. So finally, thank you so much for attending. We will share the replays. Yeah. I am so happy. Thank you so much, Anshita. That's beautiful. Oh, you see it, right? Thank you, ma'am, for being an incredible mentor. Your advice has been instrumental in my personal and career growth. We need more sessions like this. I'm happy to provide those sessions anytime. It's my pleasure. It's my true pleasure to do that. And yeah, I had as much fun as you, and I hope you can have some good takeaways. We're going to provide you with a replay, except for day 1, where I had to do another video for you because I didn't press this recording button. But for the rest, you'll get the replays, the original replays. So thank you, guys. All the very best from the depth of my heart. So lots of love, light, and ladybugs for you. And I'm going to look forward to connecting with you all soon. Take care, stay healthy and happy. All the best.